Hi, this is CF Liu. In this video, I want to really walk you through what is this loan compression or multiple submissions in property investing in Malaysia is about. Now, first off, we do not condone or encourage this. Okay, so as a disclaimer, this is just for educational purposes. This is not a recommendation to do this. But you know that this is like loan compression is like an open secret in Malaysia property investing scene, which is why I want to make this video so to give you a high level overview of what this is about. And because this is the kind of information where if people tell you this and you really can't visualize this until you really have this a practical example for you to really understand this. And the thing is, I've seen so many newbies, right? So many newbies that pay like thousands and thousands of or even tens of thousands of ringgit just to learn about this, where in reality this is really, you do not need to pay so much money just to learn that from, you know, property guru or property investing seminar. Now there are information out there which is a bits and pieces here and there, which you can Google, but I think this is one of the most comprehensive instruction video that can show you what it really is. Now, I don't want to make this video too long. This is why I only want to cover these four main things, which is what is really happening when people talk about loan compression in property investing, right? And how you know how they say want to circumvent or bypass this central bank rule of to say that your first and second property you can get 90% margin of financing or loan to value, but on the third property onwards you are only limited to what? You are only limited to 70% instead of 90%. So there's really no rocket science. It's an open secret. So I'm going to tell you that a practical example and why gullible or naive or newbie investor want to do it, and how this could go wrong in a blink of an eye. So let's jump to this this whiteboard of mine, and I just want to start drawing this. If you may, I'm going to actually do this first. Select a pen and have a test. Okay, that is good. So now imagine this scenario, right? You already identify, let's say you want to buy a property, a real estate property, like the first one costs you 500,000. Let's just make this example very simple. The second one also costs you 500,000. The third one is cost you 500,000. And the fourth one also costs you 500,000. Let's make this simple, yeah. And the fifth one also costs you 500,000 of this so-called property value. And why I take this value is because anything, I think at the time of this recording, 2019, now this could be true in the future too, anything that is near like exceeding 600, 700, you know that is approaching the range of so-called luxury property. Something that is within this range, 500,000, which is what we call as a mass affluent, right? Not mass affluent, mass market, okay, mass market property. And you really want to be investing in this mass market property, because that means that there is still chances for it to go up, and it's you know, it makes sense when it comes to renting that out. Because if you know you have a 1 million property, and it's likely that you are more prone to negative cash flow compare with your so-called mortgage payment, right? Mortgage monthly payment versus your rental. The higher the property gets, the value of the property, then the higher is the amount of your loan, which also means that if your rental cannot go that high, you are having a negative cash flow, right? Negative cash flow every month. So we don't want that, which is why I'm taking a very practical example of this only 500,000 of property. But you see, okay, let me erase this and really get into this. So that is why I take 500,000 of properties to do this loan compression example just for this video. Okay, but it's a very practical example, yes, when it comes to loan compression. Now 500,000, maybe I'm just going to change the color, and you know that what they want to do in loan compression is that, now let's say each of these property, basically you intend to buy 5 properties, right? And you apply loan for each and every one of them, right? Which is fine, okay, which is fine. Even though if you buy 1 property, you can actually apply a loan from 5 banks, correct? So, and then once you got your loan approved, you know, 5 loans approved, then you can choose, instead of banks choosing you, you actually choose which bank to take based on what are the terms and the offers terms, which are the best, right? Like low interest rate and all that. So just imagine if you were to apply for 5 banks. Imagine now, this, you can only do this if you are totally new, meaning that you do not have any real estate property for a start, which is why you own 0 property. So or you own a before a property, you have sold it, so there is no so-called, there's no loans or no property under your name, which means that the first two property, it's still eligible for 90% loan, right? So when you submit your application to the bank, your loan application, your mortgage application to the bank, so they will see that, and they will say that, okay, we can actually offer him a 90% loan. Now whether they can or not, you know, there's a few more factors to consider, but I'm not going to talk about that. We're just going to concentrate about how this loan compression works in this video. Now imagine if you get a 90% loan, right? 90% loan, okay, 90% loan, and you get 90% loan to value, and this one also a 90% loan to value, this one also a 90% loan to value, and 90% margin of financing. Some people also call it MOF, not Ministry of Finance, but margin of financing. So what happens if you get 90% loan? What happens now is that you will get a loan of 450,000, right? This one also 450,000, 450,000, 450,000, and 450,000, 90% loan. So the next thing what's going to happen is that you need to fork out how much? Okay, you basically need to fork out 50,000, correct? Which is like 10%, right? This one 50,000, this one 50,000, and then this one also 50,000, this one also 50,000 of down payment for your property investment or property purchase. So every of this 50,000. So in total, what we are seeing over here is you need to fork out a down payment if you buy 5 property at one go, okay, even though you got this approved, okay. Normally you would not get, if you buy 3rd property onwards, you wouldn't able to get this 90% margin of financing. You will get only like 70% or something like that. But because we are doing when we're doing so-called loan compression, which, you know, is like an open secret multiple submission, you submit each of these loan application to bank, and every bank see this as your first or your second loan application. They check your CCRIS record, and they say you do not own more than 2 property, okay, you own less than 2 property, so they can offer you 90%. So you get all this offer come to you at the same time, which is every one of them 90% margin of financing or loan to value, and you are very happy, right? And you say that, okay, so the thing I need to do is that I just need to fork out what I draw here in green, which is 250,000, and then you basically take a loan of 450k times 5, right? So that is around, I mean, near to 2.5 million loan. Now at this point of time, if you feel that, wow, like just from having no loan to just having 2.5 million loan, like just overnight, this is a process that is scary for you. Well, that is the thing, right? If you are new to this, that is the thing that what loan compression is about. It's high risk. Yes, if you look at the number, it's confirmed it's scary. So this is the risky part or the scary part. Now here's what you know, here's what really when things start to go downhill, which I'm going to the second part of things, is that now the first two, okay, the first two property, imagine, just assume you do not have existing loan or property in your name, or existing loan actually in your name. The first two, no problem, right? This is not an issue. This is not an issue, right? This is not an issue. But for third property onwards, now what if for whatever reason, okay, that, you know, things shit happen, and then the bank actually detects that, okay, you actually accept this first two loan, right? And then by the time there's another bank that actually approves your loan, and they see that you already accepted the first two loan, okay, accepted this first two loan, and they say that, oh, our loan that we are offering you is essentially your third property that is going to purchase. And then they say this, in compliance with the central bank ruling or guideline, the third loan onwards that we are offering you for your third property purchase onwards, by right it should not be 90% anymore. It should be what? It should be 70%, which is why this is still fine, but the only amendment over here is that they are only going to give you 70% loan to value. This one also 70% loan to value or margin of financing, and this is also going to be 70%. So you get a reduction from 90% to 70%. So this loan compression is the uncertainty over here is that you are banking on the bank that anytime when you accept this loan and before they actually get everything done. And when I say get everything done, because even though this loan was approved, there's still certain stage, like for example, the sales and purchase agreement gone through, then there's this stage called, I'm just going to draw it over here, it's called drawdown, right? A drawdown by developer. So once this loan was approved, developer is going to say, okay, I'm going to draw down this money, this 90%, right? Because you purchased that, right? And there's also a stage called the disbursement, and this is the stage whereby if you are caught doing this loan compression, the bank is going to say, look, we are no longer because bank have the right to revise the loan agreement or their offer anytime, right? That's a bank's right. So they're going to revise your margin of financing or loan to value from 90% to 70%. And what happens next is this. So imagine imagine this is what's going to happen. 70%. So this one you still could get 450,000 loan. This one still 450,000 loan because there's 90% margin of financing. But this one you are only going to get 350,000 loan. This one also 350,000 loan. So this one is also going to be 350,000 loan. So what this essentially means, like this one, now I'm going to change this color a bit. Now if you can see this one 350, so bank is only going to give you this amount of loan, but the purchase price for your property, the third and fourth and fifth property, is actually 500,000. So instead of forking out only 50,000, what you now need to do is that you need to fork out the difference between 500,000 and 350,000, which is no longer 50,000, but this is 150,000, and also this is 150,000, and this is also 150,000. So if you plus this together, 150, this alone is already 450,000. And then you are going to say that this one is you need to only pay 10% down payment, which is easily around 100,000. So what happened is this 550,000, and I want you to compare with this. So this is initially what you expect to do, right? You expect only to fork out 250,000 of down payment to buy 5 property, because this is what you expect. But things doesn't always turns out the way they are. If you try to circumvent this bank negara rule and to blindside the bank, so what's going to happen is once bank realize this, it's likely they're going to reduce your margin of financing to 70%. Let me repeat that again, 70% margin of financing, which means that now, since you already signed the sales and purchase agreement, and you need to pay this 150, 150, total of 550. So from expecting to pay a down payment of 250,000, now the thing is you have to pay around 300,000 more, and you need to pay 550,000 of down payment. So the question now is that if you are really caught doing this, which this would be the least what I call is the one of the best thing of the worst of the best thing, or the best thing of the worst thing that can happen to you, because banks also have the right to say that if you are doing this, you are being dishonest, I'm just going to pull back my loan, mortgage loan offer to you. So no more, and whatever is likely that whatever you have paid for the booking fee and all that, and it will be forfeited. Now that is another possibility, but the better possibility is that the bank, because banks still want business, right? The only thing is they say that I'm still going to offer you the mortgage loan, but at a lower loan to value, which is the value of property is 500,000. And what happened is 70% loan of margin of financing, so you need to pay the 30% for your third, fourth, and fifth property purchase, which amounts to 450,000 for the third, fourth, and fifth property. And we include these two in, it's going to be 550,000. So if this happened, the thing is, do you have additional 300,000 sitting there that you expect if you are caught doing this? Do you have the 300,000 which you are willing and ready to actually cover for this? If you do not have, then that is why it is very high risk to actually do loan compression. Of course, you might retort and say, hey, CFLiu, the way is when I buy this kind of property and units, I got what a lot of people, I'm going to change this color over here. A lot of people say that, look, I have a cash rebate, right? You say that I have a cash rebate, and that cash rebate by the developer is enough for me. Let's say maybe the cash rebate by the developer is only, it will cover partially or even fully of your so-called this down payment. Your expected down payment, which is 50,000 per unit times 5, 250,000. So that might give you a so-called cash rebate. So this is one of the things is that you see when people invest in property, they say no money down. What is this no money down? How can it be like no money down? Because you still need to pay a 10% deposit, right? Down payment. You need to pay that just as a very minimal thing. I'm not even talking about other property investing incidental costs, right? So when you do loan compression, a lot of time it makes sense. It's so-called, it seems like can work when property developer or whoever you are buying that to. Normally, it's property developer in sub-sale market. It's a bit hard to do this, but again, there are ways and there are things you can do. But just focus that on property developer project. They give you cash rebate, or even you go to property investment club and they have some deal with property developer, they give you a cash rebate. So property purchase cash rebate, so it could cover you probably this amount only. The question is, would they be able to cover this extra 300k if your loan compression or multiple submission strategy fail? Would they able to cover that? So you have to ask yourself, okay, you have to be asking yourself, is better be safe than to be sorry. Okay, if you do not have this 300,000 extra sitting in the bank, in case your third property, fourth property, and fifth property onwards, your loan margin of financing or loan to value get decreased to 70%, then you basically are stuck, right? And there are so many people that are actually are stuck, and they are they lose a lot of money when they cannot fork out this amount. They forfeit their deposit or down payment and all that, and they lose money, and they get nothing in return. And basically, if a bank is stringent in this, they will even actually put you in their watch list or blacklist or whatever you want to call it. And if from there onwards, whatever loan you want to apply for the bank, you are seen someone who the bank seen as someone who are trying to blindside them or trying to like do hanky-panky thing and things like that. So this is again the danger of loan compression. Now I've tried to actually cover this for you, like what's really happening, a practical example using real numbers, and why a gullible named newbie investor want to do it is because they say that this amount is like a cashback, it's like free money from the sky. But the thing is, this money is actually, even if you have cash rebate, this money is actually not let's put it that way, this property only works when there's a cash rebate. Okay, most of the time. But if there's no cash rebate, this is an amount, this is not a small amount. How can you buy 5 property at the same time? And this is not a small amount, right? This is not a small amount. So a lot of things people want to, a naive or newbie investor is they're attracted to this is because there is this huge cashback, which supposedly it's not your money, it's bank's money. But because this cashback and you see that sitting in your bank account, you think that this is your money and you get like free money out of nowhere, and then you're going to spend this money and do that to buy a nice car and all that. But a prudent property investor, even though if they have a cash rebate, they would not really want to do this. And the thing is, you can only do this loan compression or multiple submission probably once in your lifetime. Because once you do that, unless you have sold your first 2 property or even sold everything, then basically as long as you have a loan attached, right? A loan attached and a property attached to you with an outstanding loan. If you still have that in your record, basically you will not be able to do this multiple times. Okay, of course you can do it multiple times if you are okay with buying more and more property using a 70% margin of financing, which is okay, right? Which is okay. But I'm not encouraging this. But the other thing that you have to be aware about is this 70%. Now imagine that is why the central bank actually said third property onwards only 70% margin of financing. Imagine if they still can say that every time even you buy 100 property, it's still 90% margin of financing. So that will actually, before this rule actually enforced, you see that people are really speculating, they're flipping property back in I think 2011, 2012 and all that, before this 70% margin of financing or loan to value rule imposed by the central bank. Because third property onward 70% loan of financing, you know that it needs a lot of money to actually pay a down payment, and not they say that this actually cuts down most of the people who wants to pay this, because the thing is they do not have this capital to pay, and the cash rebate maybe it's not enough, maybe it's enough, or most of the time it would be able to cover you just for with the assumption of you can get this loan compression strategy executed perfectly. Somehow the bank just missed to further check when you actually do this drawdown or disbursement process. They do not really recheck you again, because by this drawdown or disbursement process, every loan that are accepted would already be updated in your secret CCRIS record, which if they say that this is happening again, they can actually revoke the loan, recall, or even most of the time will reduce your margin of financing. So I say what could go wrong in the blink of an eye. I hope I already covered this. Again, this scribble is not the best, but I think it gets the message across. But there's a lot of this dirty secret, right? Except because I just want to keep this video like it's already long enough, don't want to stretch it to too long. What happened is this loan compression, there's a lot more things that people do not know, and probably these property guru do not really want to really transparently disclose to people, because they would have this so-called their inventory or property units that they want to sell you using this loan compression or multiple submission method. For us, for me, I'm doing this, we are independent advisor, we do not have this kind of intention, which is why we can review this to you and tell you independently, which is why there's a lot more secrets that I don't want to actually lengthen this video. If you really want to learn more things that I mean, again, I do not encourage this, but if you are in this position, you want to explore that, you don't only want to listen to the upside, you also want to listen to the downside. downside, what are the risks, that was the worst that can happen. Property guru is not going to tell you that most of the time. So for a lot of our clients, we say that, look, we do not condone this, but we do not want you to fork out so much money to pay for property investment courses just because you want to learn this. And if you really are in this situation, we want you to protect yourself so you don't go like bankrupt or go into financial trouble. Okay, so for people who want to really do this, like for undercom property, how to really apply this loan compression tactic safely, right? Like almost never buy the, these are the few tips that we can give you. If you want further detail, just click on the button below, or the link below, so go to that and you can find more details over there. And there's consequences if you violate this. And what I mean by, even if you have this you do this loan compression tactic, you have to survey the surrounding area, price and rental per square feet. Why? This is, most of the time, your property guru or whatnot, they would not be able to tell you this. But if you don't do this, it's going to cause you a lot of trouble in the future. And how about this? How to apply? Now, subsell is a bit hard, but there is ways to it, and this is how to actually protect yourself too. So there's a few more things that I cannot cover in this lesson that you might want to actually check out the links or the buttons below. And what are the hyper important precautions after multiple submission approved? Now, imagine if you are very lucky, you get all of your loans submitted together, approved together at 90%. Now, this is only the first step. You do not want to be happy too fast, because there's still ways, there's still a lot of things that could happen that could turn this around. Like I say, what is the thing that could happen? It's basically this, right? This getting reduced. So how you want to actually take precautions to reduce the likelihood of this happening. So this is what a lot of people don't know. Property guru also don't want to tell you. And what is your backup plan if bank caught you doing this? And these are some of the things. Now, how to your secrets report, what we meant. And the third part, right, is that even though people can get through their loan compression, right, for the first, second year, but we have seen people still fail miserably despite being successful in using this loan compression technique. It's because there are few things that they don't take care of. For example, we are talking about people who have a huge lump sum of money, and then they just use this money to do stupid things. And we don't want. What is the best thing actually to, if you are really that lucky to use this technique or strategy, then what are the things that the prudent thing you should do so that it could sustain you? Because the first part is only the loan compression part, because the second part and the third part is much more important. We are talking about sustainability. And we also want to tell you things that no property investment course or guru want to tell you, to say that location factor, it could become less important in the future. And you also have to protect your downside by considering, what if the rental do not increase? What should you do? Okay. And a lot of people also fall into the trap where they are not maximizing consistent cash flow from this so-called cash rebate. Let's say if you buy a property, a few units of them, and you got good cash rebates from the developer, some people just let them sitting in the bank. This is just a very foolish way to do that. And how to actually maximize that so you can sustain for long, even though your units are not tenanted, or even though you are not able to sell in the next few years. What are the ways to actually maximize this? Okay. And to have a few more, I mean, this thing to share with you. Again, it depends on whether you need this or not, or pay few hundred, tens of thousands to courses, which we are not doing that. But for more detail, just click on the link or the button below. So loan application blindside that you can save you 100 times of what you have paid. Most people miss this out, because these are the little things. If you miss this out, you could cost you bleeding money without you actually knowing that. So that being said, I hope this original lesson has been useful. And this is not the best of the presentation, but I hope this get the message across. So if you like this lesson, click like, and you might want to say subscribe, click like, comments below. If you like this, say I like this. If you think you do not like this, tell us why and say no in the comment section below. So hope this has been useful, and this is CF Liu from CF Liu channel. I'll see you in another lesson. All right, okay, see you, take care.